floor of a hotel skyscraper in the city. As we know, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, so Herefordshire should be flattered. Stretching along the Welsh border, the county of Herefordshire falls within the West Midlands region. This predominantly rural county has a long history of farming and food production. With over 5,000 farms and 3,000 apple and pear orchards, it's responsible for over half of all British cider production. Also home to a rich architectural heritage, villages and market towns like Webley and Pembridge are renowned for their distinctive 16th and 17th century timber-framed houses. The village of Erdsland was voted in a poll as the prettiest in the Midlands. Set on the bank of the River Arrow, the stream has its own claim to fame, as it was crossed by Henry Tudor on his way to the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485. The highest point in the county lies on the eastern side of the Black Mountains. The Black Hill, known locally as the Cat's Back, is a rocky sandstone ridge 2,100 feet high. It overlooks the valleys on the English-Welsh border to one side and enjoys views to the Malvern Hills on the other, a must-see for those exploring this beautiful rural county. The average price for a detached house here in Herefordshire is around £309,000, which is £5,000 less than the national figure. So good news if you want to save some money, but it's also great news here if you want to get away from the crowds. Because at 220 people per square mile, it's one of the least densely populated counties in England. So is getting far from the madding crowd on our couple's mind today? Let's meet them and find out. Sharon and Leo have been together for 12 years. They first met in Australia, where Leo was living since emigrating from Scotland in 1972.
I would be there forevermore, except for this one here.
See?
Originally, I had an idea that she would spend some time in Australia,
yes,
and I would spend some time over here. But I spend more time over here than she does over there. She's an English rose that wilts in the sun.
When he's in the UK, Leo lives with Sharon in her 3-bedroom cottage in Eastbourne, returning once a year to his home in Australia to visit family.
Our relationship works because we're both autonomous. We have our own money, and I have my home in Australia, she has hers here.
It's fantastic, it really is, because the relationship does work well on that basis, because I can choose what I want to do and Leo can choose what he wants to do.
Before setting up home in the South Downs, Sharon lived all over the world, from South America to Canada and Kent, where she brought up her 2 daughters. After 9 years in one place, it's time to move on.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a great house to live in, but it's time to move. 9 years is a long time. Eastbourne has become a lot busier in the time that I've been here. The traffic is a lot heavier, and where I'm currently living, I've got houses all around me, and that I don't really like. I want to see views.
On a recent drive through Herefordshire, she was inspired by the county's spectacular scenery.
As we travelled through it, it just grabbed us. Absolutely rolling countryside, rolling hills, delightful. And it just had a really lovely sense. It felt good.
What it'll be like when the wind's whipping across that
It'll
hill
be
at
wonderful.
50 miles an hour.
It'll be wonderful.
That might be a different
You just
kettle
have
of
to
fish.
wear the right clothes, that's all.
Although Sharon will be purchasing this property alone, she's looking for a home she can share with Leo, with space for her hobbies.
I love gardening, and a dream would be to have a greenhouse. And going out there with a cup of coffee and the radio and just pottering about, fantastic. I have taken an upholstery course, but unfortunately I haven't got any room here to put all the paraphernalia about. So I'd love to continue on with that.
And you'll plant an orchard as well.
Oh, I would love an orchard, not acres and acres, but just a small area. That would be great.
Sharon and Leo have only been to Herefordshire a few times, so are happy to see the best the whole county has to offer, wherever it may be. Now to find out if they're equally flexible when it comes to their property requirements. So welcome to Herefordshire. Tell me a little bit about this house that you're buying. Because is this going to be a forever home?
No, we don't really do forever. We work in sort of 3-year blocks, but having looked around a little, it's such a beautiful space, it could be for longer, so...
So if it was going to be for longer, what would it have to contain?
I think one of the most important things is the position of the property, views. Bedroom-wise, I think 3 bedrooms would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sharon's a builder's daughter, and so when she visualises a house, she can actually see it with some of the rooms rearranged, maybe knock a wall down.
In terms of the outside space, Leo, what do you think Sharon's looking for there?
Gardening's something that we both enjoy, and so Sharon would like an orchard as well. Or if there's not an orchard, certainly we'd like to plant an orchard.
And in terms of location, do you want to be out in the middle of nowhere or in a village?
The villages around here, you haven't actually got to travel too far to get to a village, so even if there are not shops or houses around, we don't really mind. We're quite open.
Yeah. And in terms of the style of the property?
I like the classic sort of style of house, Georgian I love, but I also like very modern. So, yeah, again, very open.
You are a dream couple to show around houses. 3 bedrooms, can be
find us.
anywhere.
Okay, that's right.
We can change it all.
Good, yes, we are. We are very flexible.
Is this a house you're buying together? I mean, do you both get an input, or is it more your choice and your...
I am buying the house.
Right.
Leo has his house in Australia.
OK.
Leo's great. He knows me very well, so he will give me a lot of feedback. But ultimately, I will make the decision. Hopefully we're right.
The woman that signs the checks gets to say what she wants.
Quite right, too. We like that.
Yes.
Tell me your budget.
The budget is 565. That will give us a little bit of leeway to do work. If a property is completely finished, we could probably get to 6 if it was completely perfect.
So 600,000 for
600,000.
absolutely nothing to do?
Yes, yeah.
Well, I think we've got 3 very beautiful properties, but of course the acid test is whether you like them.
Yes.
So let's get in the car and find out.
Excellent.
For a maximum budget of £600,000, Sharon is looking for a detached 3-bedroom property in a rural position with a large garden and ideally some extra land for an orchard. She's open-minded about the style of the property as well as the location, which gives us great scope for our search. We've got 3 wonderful rural homes to tempt them with. At each visit, I'll be asking them to guess the property's price tag before I reveal it. And for our final visit, we'll be showing them a mystery house with a powerful past. Our search begins in the village of Newtown. 2 miles away, the historic market town of Lempster, once famed for its wool trade, is a hub of antique shops, cafes and galleries. It's also the starting point for North Herefordshire's 40-mile black and white trail, exploring some of the prettiest medieval villages in the county. Less than 5 minutes in the car back to Newtown, our first property is on a quiet country lane. House number 1, it's quite a chunk of property.
It is a chunk of property.
It is. What a fabulous place.
Good, isn't it?
Wow.
It's beautiful,
Yeah.
actually. And
Lovely established.
apple tree. That's it.
An apple tree.
We're
That's
sorted
it, we're done.
already.
I do love an apple tree.
Yeah.
An old apple tree. I think we should go and have a peek.
Shall we have a look inside?
Okay.
Built in 1901, the current owners have restored much of this property over the last 7 years, but have retained many of its original character features. Come on in.
Thank you.
Nice big double yellow doors. I'm just going to stop momentarily here because this is quite a lovely feature.
Yes.
Victorian Edwardian sort of great grand
Yes.
hallway
Lovely
from which
entrance.
all the other rooms radiate.
Yeah.
And look at this lovely encaustic tile
Yes,
floor.
that's obviously original. That's very attractive.
So there's matching rooms on the front, but let's look at this one because it's a bit bigger. So of the 2 rooms, this is slightly bigger because it runs further back.
Yes,
They
these are
both
lovely.
have the lovely bow windows.
Yes, the beautiful window. Love wood burners. Bookcases, I love. We'd definitely keep the bookcases.
Oh, heaps of books.
Yeah,
We can
and
we can certainly fill it.
Yeah, lots and lots of potential in here.
Good size, isn't it?
It's a very good size. It does remind me of some of the grander houses in Edinburgh.
Directly behind the living room is the kitchen and adjoining utility room. This is a much more modern part of the house. They've just done this up.
Yes.
This
is lovely.
It's a bit misguiding because actually it's a very big kitchen, but it's sort of split in two because you've got the big range cooker.
Yeah.
Through this side you've got an enormous, like, triple fridge with a great big wine fridge in the middle.
Yes.
And then this is a sort of smaller room, you know, preparation room.
But plenty of space there.
You haven't really spoken much about the kitchen. Some people are very particular about the kitchens. Do you use a lot of...
I do. I love to cook. But I think you can adapt and you don't need a huge amount of space. So, yeah, this is a very workable kitchen.
Let's look upstairs because you've got 5 bedrooms and quite a lot of lovely views. On the opposite side of the property, behind the second sitting room, is a large dining room. With downstairs covered, it's time to head upstairs, where there are 5 bedrooms, all doubles, split across the top 2 floors, as well as 2 modern bathrooms. I'm taking them to the master, which I hope will impress. This is what's being used as the master bedroom.
Big room.
Once again, big rooms.
Yes.
And you've got a huge ensuite here.
I'll take a peek. Oh, this is lovely.
Well, I've done this.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
Yeah. And a sort of modern fashion.
And this shows you what you could do to the other areas of the house. So they've done a great job. I love this. Right to the bathroom.
And on the other side there's a big walk-in wardrobe. So you've got plenty of space.
No shortage. No.
You look a little overwhelmed.
I am overwhelmed. I think one point I would say is probably the 2 of us.
Yes,
too big.
we would rattle around it.
Yeah.
Too big, yeah. Well, I suppose, you do get a lot for your money in Herefordshire.
Yes, you do.
But as you can see, you do have beautiful gardens, including a very lovely Victorian greenhouse, which I know you wanted.
Oh, yeah, that I would love to go to see.
Your wish is my command. Sharon and Leo might think the house is a little too large for them, but I think they'll feel perfectly at home outside in the well-maintained gardens. As you've seen, there's quite a lot to the garden. It's not huge, it's about half an acre, but also this lovely little outhouse which has 2 big storage spaces downstairs, and upstairs she's using as a sewing room, so we thought it would be perfect for your upholstery.
Yes, it will. It'd be great. That's a beautiful little building. I love that.
Yeah. This is what you were thinking of in terms of size of garden?
I think for actual working garden, this is exactly what we want.
What do you think the price tag on this one is? I know it's the first one, so it's hard to gauge.
It is very difficult. I'm going to go for 545.
I think it's 575.
So who would you say is the property expert between the 2 of you?
Oh, Sharon is, definitely.
In this case, you should listen to Leo. He is spot on.
Is he?
Yes. 575 it's been on.
575.
Now, there's a lot to explore. I know you've got lots of thoughts. Just have a wander around, and when you're done, then we can move on to house number 2.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Let's go.
Under budget, this superb detached property has 2 more bedrooms than Sharon asked for, and plenty of space for her hobbies, including an outbuilding with a dedicated room for upholstery and a lovely Victorian greenhouse in the garden. It's in a secluded spot in a quiet village just a couple of miles from amenities.
Oh, this is lovely there. Oh, lovely
the
walls.
I'd never find you. You'd just be out here.
I'll be in here. You can be over there.
Oh, right, yes.
And,
I'll phone you when I need you.
I love the greenhouse and I love the little annex. Absolutely hit the nail on the head with that. Superb. And the garden is beautiful.
It's a house, I think, that should ring to the tune of a family. 5 bedrooms, too much certainly for Sharon and I, and we don't plan on having any more, so...
It's very grand. It's a big house and realistically too big for us.
Hello.
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 All done?
All done.
So, Lee, if you want to pull the door behind you, we are ready to head on to house number 2. In the east of the county, in the heart of the Welsh Marches, lie Hargest Croft Gardens, part of the Hargest estate. The family-owned gardens were established in 1896 by William Hartland Banks and have been continuously maintained by 3 generations of the same family for over a century. Today they're managed by William's grandson, Lawrence, and his wife, Elizabeth. Sharon and Leo are going to meet them to learn about the local landscape and gain some inspiration for their next garden.
What makes this part of the country so good for growing?
The answer is that it's neither too hot nor too cold, and we are on a very steep slope, which means that frost rolls away, so we are pretty well frost-free, except in the worst of winters. Basically speaking, it's a benign and amiable climate with a limited number of extremes.
Where do you get your ideas from for each part of the garden?
Well, actually, I'm a landscape architect, and I spent quite a long time in my career restoring historic gardens. So I do pick up on the original ideas of how it was done here, and then probably develop them and change them a little bit.
While Elizabeth takes the lead in designing, Lawrence is the plant expert. Overseeing the gardens on a day-to-day basis is head gardener Stephen Lloyd, who's currently preparing to prune the fruit trees in the kitchen garden.
Well, what we've got here is what we call our step-over apples. And now's the time to be starting to take the top growth off these apples to promote and give all the energy into the fruit that is hiding here below.
So does that allow more air through, more sunshine if you get a lot of sunshine,
so all the energy is going into the fruit,
Right.
and the sun can now start ripening the apples,
Okay.
ready for picking later on in the year. It's important to be cutting in the right place when you're pruning these apples, and you want to cut about 1 or 2 buds just there, just above the second year growth, like that. You don't have to be too particular, but you don't want to start cutting into the 2-year-old or older wood. Why don't you have a go?
The gardens extend to over 70 acres in total and are home to more than 5,000 rare trees and shrubs.
So how many kilos of apples would you get from one plant?
On a good year, you get a good few kilos, more than you probably ever want.
So these are eating apples?
These are all eating apples, but you don't have to have it at a big extent like this. You can have many varieties of apple on a smaller sort of wire.
After pruning, Stephen collects the cuttings and takes them to be composted on site.
And so we'll put them through the chipper, and we will get them into a state like this, firstly. With that, we'll mix it with leaf mowings, leaves from in the autumn, and any annual weeds. And within 12 to 18 months, we hope, and we do, we'll get material like this, which is almost black, like peat, which will incorporate into our planting or onto our beds.
The team here at the gardens firmly believe in putting back in what they take out, as well as maintaining them as naturally as possible. When they were established in Edwardian times, the trend was for managed natural gardening. Plants were encouraged to thrive in their natural positions. Since Lawrence and Elizabeth took over the gardens in the 1980s, they and their team have worked hard to continue this ethos, mirroring the planting of their predecessors.
I hope you'll come back in the future, maybe as volunteers, perhaps.
Yes, I think you'll see us very soon.
Lovely, love to see you.
Hopefully we can find Sharon and Leo a property here in Herefordshire with a magnificent garden for them to nurture for years to come. Next, we're heading to the village of Peterstow in the heart of the Wye Valley. The market town of Ross-on-Wye is just 3 miles away and is steeped in history. From its Gothic-style town walls, built in 1833, to its 13th century church, one of the largest in Herefordshire. Its striking spire rears up over 200 feet and is a visible landmark for miles around. There's a variety of cafes and shops, and regular markets are still held in and around the town's famous 17th century market hall. Back in Peterstow, our next property has real curb appeal.
This way, no petting the horses.
Oh, wow.
Look at this. Oh, is it tear time, is it? Well,
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, this is lovely.
Are you welling up?
Yes.
Oh, you
Oh, no.
Right at the beginning, we haven't been inside.
Oh,
Oh, Leo.
dear.
That's
Sorry.
wonderful. It is a very beautiful property, isn't it? It's a barn, basically. It's a threshing barn and a cow barn from the 1840s, but it was derelict and then it was burnt to the ground.
Oh, wow.
And the present owners have rebuilt it, brick, stone,
Have they really?
reclaimed item by reclaimed item,
You can actually see
That
that.
sounds lovely.
yeah.
since 1999.
But then it has these two kind of clever annexes. So that's actually a little separate dwelling there. You can
Right.
shut off. And then there's another one behind.
Oh.
Are you ready for the inside? It's
We
quite a
are.
trip.
Yes.
We are ready for
Looking
the
forward to this.
Come on in. This converted barn makes a wonderful homely 3-bedroom property. The additional annexes are self-contained, so while one could be used as an upholstery studio, the other one would be useful for visiting guests. The ground floor of the property is made up of 3 well-proportioned rooms, a kitchen, dining room, and sitting room, with the annexes at either end. Come on in.
Oh, it's absolutely lovely. Beautiful.
It is very cosy.
There's lots of lovely features. For example, the door here is a reclaim from a chapel nearby. The bread oven here, and there's another one in the next room, also reclaimed from local properties. Let's take you in the kitchen, see if this comes up to snuff.
Okay. Ooh.
Here we have like a traditional farmhouse kitchen, but with all the mod cons seamlessly built in.
Oh, this is really lovely.
It's very you.
It is very me.
This is it.
Is it?
It is, yes.
very
And that's actually a granite that I've had in a previous property that I love. So, yes.
It's a sign.
It is a sign. You're quite right. I could start cooking right now.
Oh, that's what we want to hear.
Yes,
Lovely.
it is.
Let's go and look at the sitting room, because that's really charming. I'm thrilled that Sharon is already feeling at home in this place. This is very countryside cottage.
Yes. Gosh, look at this.
This is actually a working kind of kitchen stove, but you can use it like as a fire, wood burner.
Yes, yeah. This is very pretty.
All these little details.
Yeah. This is a very
So
pretty room.
lovely. And that
Beautiful.
door there, where does that go?
That goes through into a little study, actually. A little office
does it?
space, quite small,
Yeah.
quite snug.
Yeah.
But the master bedroom is really lovely.
Lead on.
If Sharon and Leo felt the first property was possibly too big, the upstairs space on offer in this house is definitely more manageable, with 3 bedrooms, along with access to the main annex from the landing. 2 of the bedrooms are good-sized doubles and share the use of a shower room. The master bedroom has its own ensuite. Oh, now this I think is a really lovely master bedroom.
Wonderful.
And it's rather fabulous canopied bed.
Yes.
But what I really love is that it's got a sort of terrace, roof terrace.
Very pretty.
And in the summer morning, you can just step out and have your coffee.
Yeah. Oh, I think the rooms
Yes.
are absolutely gorgeous. I really do.
The garden is a bit of a blank canvas,
Good.
which I think is pretty good for you guys. The main annex benefits from a fully fitted kitchen and shower room on the ground floor and a separate bedroom and sitting room upstairs, which could make a great upholstery studio. The other is single-storey with an open-plan kitchen, living area and a separate bedroom and bathroom. The outside space includes a decked area for entertaining and a number of sheds and outbuildings as well as the stables. I think Sharon and Leo could really make this garden their own. Let's step out and take a gander at the land. They haven't done a great deal to the sort of garden area, but all of this is yours too. So you've got the horses who are getting a bit frisky
Yes.
down at the bottom there. And of course you've also got that field there. So the total footprint is about 1.5 acres.
Oh, excellent. Spot on. There's lots that we can do.
Yeah.
We can add our own little ideas. Yes, I can see this planted up for the spring.
Yes, very good. Is it going to hit the spot financially? What do you think the price tag on this one is?
I'm going for 610.
About 585.
585. Well, in this instance, you're both wrong. But if you split the difference, you're absolutely right, because this is on the market for £1 short of £600,000.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's lovely to see. Yes. Go and talk to the horses. They have something to tell you.
Oh, good.
By me.
Come on, Leo.
That's a good response, isn't it? That's what we want. This beautifully converted stone barn would give Sharon the 3 bedrooms she wants, with scope for her studio in one of the 2 annexes. The gardens are a blank canvas ready for her and Leo to cultivate, and with a total of 1.5 acres, Sharon could also have the orchard of her dreams. All this on budget in a rural location with glorious countryside views.
Beautiful house,
Absolutely lovely garden.
beautiful horses, beautiful
Yes.
lifestyle.
Yeah, it would actually, the lifestyle would be fantastic. Lovely. Yeah, lovely, lovely. Well, I did have a tear because it's absolutely beautiful. And you can tell that the property has been lovingly restored. The garden, absolutely great. Good size. And the stables and the paddock are really great. That's very Herefordshire and wonderful.
Sharon's lived all around the world, so have I, and this one definitely feels like home to us.
You're done with your house?
Yes. For the moment.
Good, well, don't panic. You can sleep on it. And tomorrow we've still got the mystery house.
Yes.
Come with me.
It's the second day of our search here in Herefordshire, where I'm helping Sharon find a rural property for £600,000 that she can share with partner Leo, who's come halfway around the world to be with her. Still to come, Sharon and Leo are knocked for 6 at our mystery house.
What to say?
Where's my wallet?
That's a lovely moment.
And I risk being thrown off balance as I take to the water on the River Wye.
Paddle with you, that's it. And then paddle in as soon as you can.
It's not so often on the show that we have couples who complain about the houses being too big. But it seems that actually that is Sharon's reservation, even about the second property yesterday that she really loves, is that she's paying top dollar for bits of property that she doesn't really want. So the mystery house is well under budget. And when I ask the couples what are you going to see for the mystery house, they almost always say it's going to be a conversion, a converted church, a converted chapel. But this is a conversion that I don't think we've ever had on Escape to the Country before. So it's very unique. Let's see if they like it. What do you think we might show you as a mystery house?
You got 2 very different houses yesterday, so to get another really different house today.
It's a challenge.
It is a challenge.
Our mystery house takes us back to the north of the county, to the village of Shobden. The picture-perfect market town of Pembridge is just 2 miles away, and it's renowned for the array of well-preserved timber-framed buildings that have lined its streets since medieval times, earning it the title of the jewel in the crown of the county's black and white village trail. In the Middle Ages, the town had a population of over 2,000, and although today it's less than half of that, its popularity with visitors continues to grow. A 5-minute drive away is our mystery house, whose character is completely unexpected.
Mystery house!
Wow.
It is
tell
the
us.
first time ever on Escape to the Country that we have shown a converted power station.
Power station?
This was the auxiliary power station for the nearby airfield during the war.
Oh.
Built in 1942.
Do you know her father was in
Yes,
the
I
RAF?
absolutely
course,
love
yes.
it, yes.
Yes.
So this is
I do.
drenched in the RAF.
Oh,
Yeah.
marvellous.
It was only ever used
Lovely.
twice. The generator was so powerful it shook the nearest village.
Goodness.
And it is a total labour of love of the current owners who've lived here 30+ years.
I love the shape of it.
Isn't it wonderful?
It is.
It's so
Yes.
unusual.
I'm really excited to see what's inside. I can't really imagine.
Right.
Let's do it. Come on.
This unique mystery property was built to last, with 7-foot deep foundations and 14-inch thick brick walls. Before the current owners converted it 20 years ago, it was used to house pigs.
Come on in. So we're coming into the, well, it was the engine house of the power station, but it was just a big
Amazing.
shell.
This is lovely. This is a huge space.
So there you go, lovely walk-in larder.
This is a lovely area. I like it.
do you
Feels like home, Leah.
Well, it does feel like home. To own something just more than a house, to have a bit of history in your back pocket. Lovely.
Yeah.
Do you like the style? Is it a place you could imagine?
I do.
Yes, I do.
I mean, it's completely different from yesterday, which I loved. It's coming from where we are, type of house we're in now, to something completely different.
Which is
is
exactly
good.
what we wanted.
Yeah.
Let's look at the living space. It's all very open plan, but this, I think, is the heart of the house. It's a really beautiful room.
This is a wonderful room. I love the fact that you can see right through. It's open, which we like that. I mean, quite sort of, actually quite modern furniture. Bright colours, I can see it in here.
Oh, I can see it
would
in
fit.
here too, yeah. What a unique property.
It is. We have never lived in anything like this before.
No.
But yes, I can see us in here, most definitely.
I could too.
Yeah.
Let's look upstairs, because you've got 4 bedrooms here. It's a lovely master bedroom with a roof terrace.
The living room leads through to a snug, off which is a garden room, ideal for growing plants or enjoying the sun. Upstairs there are 3 double bedrooms designed around feature corner windows, one of which Sharon could use as an upholstery studio, as well as a shower room and the master bedroom.
Come on in. It's not vast.
No.
You've got an ensuite, though.
Oh, well, that's a bonus. I think this is fine, absolutely.
I think you could
Don't
decorate
you?
this.
Yes.
I can see it decorated
Bedroom
in
you
actual
can
fact,
sleep
yes.
in and...
And
yeah.
so quirky, once again, the steps up to...
Wow,
Whatever.
this is the humdinger. And it's just strange how many parallels there are between
Yeah.
the last property and this one.
You're right.
This also has a roof terrace, but oh, it's a goodie.
Our mystery property seems to have worked its magic on them both, and they're about to enjoy a unique perspective on what outdoors has to offer.
So come here and you can get a kind of view. So you can see all around the garden, kind of wraps around the whole property. There's a lovely sun terrace down there with a fig tree in pairs. And then beyond the kind of outbuilding, there's a lovely orchard with mulberries and quince trees and rare apple trees. I mean, it really is a smashing garden. And then, on top of that, beyond that, you see that big field there, that's all yours too.
It comes with the property.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in total, it's 2.5 or just under 2.5 acres.
It's a lot to take in, even,
I
isn't
have
it?
to say, I'm very rarely speechless, but I'm looking round and just thinking, it's planted so beautifully.
Can you afford it? What do you think this is on the market for?
Yesterday you showed us a place that was £1 under 600,000. I think this is £1 over.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm going to go 615.
This property is on the market for £500,000.
You are joking.
No.
That is 500,000.
£500,000.
No.
And the catch is
No catch.
£500,000.
500,000.
What to say?
Hold on, where's my wallet?
Oh,
That's a lovely moment.
that is a mystery house and a half.
It is a mystery
It
house.
is a mystery house and a half, yeah.
So as the planes take off around us,
Yeah.
do take your time to explore, and then I'll find you in some nook and cranny in the garden.
Okay.
It's so nice.
Our mystery power station really is one of a kind. With an extra bedroom and a number of flexible living spaces, there are options for Sharon's upholstery room, and the plot of over 2 acres includes a wonderful south-facing garden with an abundance of fruit trees, as well as a separate plot of land.
Oh, wow. Oh, look at
this! Oh, this is... Whoa, we can
believe it.
great time here.
This is fantastic.
It is, isn't it?
Right off from the garden into the paddock. Although yesterday's property, it was opposite end of the spectrum as far as style. This, I think, is something you would never, ever find again.
There's unique, and then there's this place. It's got a field of corn, it's got a view, it has just about everything.
An amazing mystery house, and one that I will consider very, very carefully.
Hey guys, here you are, tucked away. I'm afraid we're going to have to leave. The figs will be ready when you come back.
Yes, good.
When you've
good.
bought
we can
it.
Get figging.
Right, up yes,
Okay.
we're going to get the car and we're going to find somewhere to discuss all the properties.
Right.
From its source deep in the Welsh mountains, flowing approximately 150 miles through the countryside to the Severn estuary, the Wye is one of the most scenic and unspoilt rivers in the UK. Previously voted the nation's favourite river, it's one of the few that can be easily navigated by canoe, making it a top spot for outdoor pursuits. One of the newest ways to explore the river is by stand-up paddleboard, an offshoot of surfing, which has become popular in the UK over the last couple of years. I've come to Preston-on-Wye to meet instructor Sam Clark to try it out for myself.
Good morning, how are you?
A lovely spot.
It's not too bad, is it?
It's really great. We're paddleboarding. Now, I always associate paddleboarding with the sea.
It probably was more so. It's slowly started to creep up the country, I think, but very much something that's always been very popular on the sea, from where it started with surfing, with the longboards, you know. On the days when the waves were maybe a little bit smaller, they'd use their paddle to get themselves going.
I quite like the idea of the stand-up paddle because you get to see things, and presumably on the river you get to see quite a lot.
You do. So in regards to a canoe or a kayak, you're generally going to be about 1.5 meters higher because you're going to be in a standing position. It does take a little bit of time to get yourself into that standing position, and definitely inland waterways as well. You've got to be careful about where you're doing it because you need to make sure it's deep enough to do it. The river levels and the depth changes all the time.
So how often am I going to fall in?
I would hope that you may be able to get away with not falling in. However, it's always a possibility.
Before heading out on the water, Sam's going to show me the basics on dry land.
So these are the little things. Well, not so little, they're quite wide.
They are quite wide, so they're quite stable boards, but for inland waters, they're quite short. So they're quite manoeuvrable, and also they're very tough. So hopefully they should
survive the rocks.
Although it's relatively new to Britain, stand-up paddleboarding has been popular in Hawaii and other surf destinations for years, with interest steadily growing across the globe.
So the next thing we're going to do is we'll get ourselves sat on the board. So the aim is basically to turn yourself round, to get yourself into a position where you're somewhere like this. Perfect. That's it. Okay. So we're keeping a low centre of gravity. We're going to be paddling away just nice and simply next to us. So if we take hold of our paddle now, we're going to actually be using the shaft as opposed to the T-grip to begin with, and we're just going to be paddling gently forward. And nice and close paddle strokes next to the board is going to make you go in a nice straight line, whereas if you move it out nice and wide and do a big sweeping stroke, that's what's going to help you to turn. Okay, so from a kneeling position, to get yourselves up into the standard position, you put your paddle across the board, and then moving 1 foot at a time, nice and gentle movements, find the sweet spot, keeping your knees bent, and then up into that standing position to paddle forward.
Sam tells me the views from paddleboarding along the River Wye are sensational, from the wild flowers on the banks to the wildlife on the water. There are an amazing 30 recorded species of fish in the river, and depending on the time of day, you might be lucky to see otters, herons, or even kingfishers on your journey. However, I suspect I may be too distracted trying to stay on board to notice much of what's around me.
Nice and gently, just moving 1 foot at a time, to stand yourself up, finding the sweet spot, keep the knees nice and bent, and then come up into a standing position, take hold of the paddle. Paddle with you, that's it, and then paddle in as soon as you can. Your paddle's like your stabiliser, so if you don't have the paddle in the water, you will just rock and roll around a little bit. Come up, that's it. Come up, I'm falling in, that's good.
Sam has over 10 years' experience as a paddle sport instructor and has been paddling canoes and kayaks up and down the Wye since he was a child, so I'm definitely in safe hands.
Wonderful countryside here. What would you say is the unique thing about the Wye?
The river itself, it has its little fast, bubbly, exciting sections, but the majority of the river is kind of grade 1. So it's just nice and accessible for anybody, no matter kind of what ability you might be at. I personally think it's probably the best paddle touring river in the UK.
Although it's not the most adrenaline-fueled sport, it definitely involves skill, and it provides a great workout whilst developing core strength. Plus, it's a beautiful way to take in the scenery.
Brilliant, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's been a great day.
There you go, just drop that one in there.
So it seems in the last furlong the Mystery House may have come neck and neck with house number 2 from yesterday and maybe even pipped it at the post. So let's find Sharon and Leo and find out what they're thinking. What a great week. You've been lovely to show around. Has it been as good for you as it's been for me?
Yes, definitely. We've had a wonderful time. I think we've learned a lot, we've had a lot of fun, and we still want to come to live in Herefordshire.
Well, that's all good, but what about the houses? Have the houses come up to snuff?
Yes, one in particular,
Which one?
the Mystery House. The Mystery House. Amazing. I mean, something so different, and on paper, I don't think either of us would have gone to look at it.
So what actually happens next? What's the next step?
Very much like to book another appointment, second viewing, meet the owners, and just go in with a slightly different eye.
And Leo, looking from the outside, you know, because I know that you're the companion in this, what would you say has come into focus for Sharon in the house hunt?
She's kneeled to the man